I'm going to show you how I practice my pranayama in the mornings. I'm gonna do the whole 20-minute practice for you just to take a look at what it looks like. You can use it to practice along and start your sitting practice. But also make sure that you check out the description below where I put in some links on how to start a practice laying down, how to progress towards sitting up position. I've also linked a video on how to hold the hands and how to do the alternate nostril breathing, and different tips that you can use to start your own practice. Today I'm going to share with you my journey through pranayama and how I practice pranayama every morning. So I started out doing about 6 years of a laying down pranayama practice. So this was because of tightness in the legs, because of certain emotional issues and anxiety and all of that. So I had a full 6 years of laying down pranayama practice. So I definitely linked down the class that I did a few years back on how to start a laying down pranayama practice so you can build up the strength and the stamina to do it sitting up. Because I was laying down, I was able to keep that practice for so long. I think I would have probably not kept it up as long if I was sitting down, because it never felt right and I could never really hold the breath, and I would not be able to exhale completely or inhale, and so it was a really good thing for my condition. And after laying down for those 6 years while practicing this breathing techniques and breathing practice of pranayama, I spent another 2 years halfway between laying down and sitting up, and I used this heart bench, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then finally I graduated to a seating position in pranayama, which I'll show you today after I show you how to use the heart bench. The heart bench is a really, really wonderful prop. It really does open the chest, open the heart. It's great. It's sometimes not as easy to lay back on it as it may seem, so I'll show you my progression. And you can find it on the internet if you want to, get one for yourself. I used an Iyengar prop guide, and I asked my brother, who is an incredible woodworker, if he could make me one, and he did, so that was really great. So you can find this Iyengar book online, and it gives you all of the dimensions if you want to build one yourself. So here is the heart bench. So in the beginning, this was very rough on my back. And so I would use a blanket here on this bottom part. And my chest wasn't so open, and so I would have to use a support for my head. So I would use a support for my head like this. So I would lay down on the heart bench, putting this right underneath the shoulder blades here, right on the chest line. And then using a block for my head like this, and I would lay down on the heart bench, legs out, sometimes in a Baddha Konasana position, right? And then as I progressed a little bit on heart bench, then I no longer needed that support here. You create that openness in the chest so it's not so harsh, and then you can lay back on the heart bench, making sure that the chin isn't pointing up here. So if that's happening, just place a little blanket behind the head, and you can lay here in pranayama for 10-20 minutes depending on your practice. So you can see the heart bench is very relaxing, it's very opening. It's something that really, after you practice for a few weeks and you start getting used to that shape, you can't wait to wake up and go spend 20 minutes laying on that heart bench. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I do my pranayama practice in the mornings. My pranayama practice is 2 segments of 10 minutes, so a total of 20 minutes. Usually just Nadi Sodhana, and I sometimes add mudras or some chakras aspect of practice into pranayama. But today we'll just maybe hold a mudra and just breathe. So for this practice, you can sit on a comfortable yoga pose where you can keep though your back straight. And what I mean by this is that you don't collapse the lower back and start feeling tension and pain in the lower back. Is just a comfortable sitting position. It's best not to be leaning against the wall, although I do use a little bit of support from the wall on my sacrum. Okay, so this is how I set up. So here I have my sacrum touching the wall, and I really want to make my heels light. So I add a little bit of a support right on this part of my leg. So right above the bone here, add a little support so that it lifts this area up from the floor. So I place those right there. So here I place those little supports right above the bone. I sit as close as I can to the wall. And because my knees don't reach the ground right away, they will after a few minutes of practice, I use a little bit of a support because I'm going to add weights and I don't want my knees floating without a support and the weight on top. So I want to support the knee. So when I do add the weight, it's supported. So I add 30 pounds. And I always add the weight not to the knee, but you add the weights near the groin area. Okay. I readjust these guys. And I make sure that my feet are pressing into each other. Then I grab this block and I push it down into my sacrum, making sure there's no pain. One more weight. And there we go. So this is my setup for pranayama most days. So my back here is not touching the wall. So I have about 2 inches away from the wall. My sacrum, where I place that wooden block, that is touching the wall so that I can not collapse on my lower back and hunch. So this way I can untuck my pelvis here and I can lift the chest a little bit more, release the belly, the eyes, the ears, and the throat. If I remove that sacrum, I am still building strength in my back. I tend to collapse my back a bit. So here I start settling into the pose. I make all the adjustments that I need to make. And throughout, I use a few cues for how to move the breath and how to hold the hands. So I will link some of these techniques for you at the end card of this video so you can check those out. But here is my practice. after you've finished your practice, it's always a good idea to finish it off with a 5-minute Shavasana practice, and then after pranayama, usually we don't practice any asana or do any kind of very action-oriented activity or very strenuous activity for about 30 minutes. Even eating, you can wait a few minutes, about 20-30 minutes before you eat, so you can just soak in the benefits of your practice and go about your day in a refreshed, relaxed, and happy way. So if you practice in the morning, it's the best because you have that fast from the night. So it's nice to practice in an empty stomach. After you have practiced your normal yoga practice, then you wait maybe 20-30 minutes after a yoga practice. Then you would go ahead and have a pranayama practice, and then you would be done. So here's a Shavasana. If you enjoyed this and you would like to try pranayama on your own, you can watch this video as many times as you like and practice together. And you can also check out the end cards also in the comments below, where I linked how to position the hands and what to do with the chest and how to sit and all those kind of details. If you want to check those out, they're going to be right there for you.